What you're about to hear is going to make your blood boil. While Paul Heyman was orchestrating what could have been the most legendary wargame strategy in WWE history, Nick Aldis walked in and obliterated everything. And the worst part? This might have cost us the greatest wargames match we've never seen. Stay till the end because what I'm about to reveal will change how you see SmackDown's management forever. Listen, I need you to understand something right now. Paul Heyman isn't just some manager with a microphone. This man has been the architect behind some of the most iconic moments in wrestling history. ECW's rise, Brock Lesnar's dominance, the Bloodline saga that had us all talking for 3 years straight. The man doesn't just book matches, he creates movements. So when Heyman started laying the groundwork for what insiders were calling the most intricate wargame strategy ever conceived, people backstage were taking notes. Legends were paying attention. Fans were speculating like crazy on social media. This wasn't just another match. This was supposed to be Heyman's masterpiece. But then, Nick Aldis happened. And I'm not talking about a simple disagreement. I'm talking about a complete dismantling of months of psychological warfare, carefully crafted alliances, and storytelling genius that would have had us talking for decades. The disrespect is unreal. And what makes this even more frustrating? Most fans have no idea this even happened. Let me paint you a picture of what Heyman was building. According to multiple sources close to the situation, Heyman had been working on this wargames concept for months. We're talking about a multi-layered strategy that involved not just his bloodline connections, but potential alliances that would have shattered the entire SmackDown landscape. Here's what makes Heyman different from every other strategist in WWE. While everyone else is thinking about one match, Heyman is thinking about the next 6 months. Every word he speaks, every alliance he forms, every betrayal he hints at, it's all connected. It's chess while everyone else is playing checkers. For this wargames match, sources say Heyman was planning something we've never seen before. He was allegedly negotiating behind the scenes with superstars from multiple brands. He was planting seeds of doubt within opposing teams. He was creating backup plans for his backup plans. The man was building a web so complex that even if Team A failed, Team B would succeed. And if Team B failed, the real plan was Team C all along. This is vintage Heyman brilliance. Remember when he turned Roman Reigns into the tribal chief? That wasn't a 2-week angle. That was a 3-year psychological masterpiece that elevated everyone involved. Roman became the most must-see champion in a generation. The Usos became the greatest tag team of their era. Solo Sikoa got made as a future main eventer. That's the Heyman effect. And for wargames, he was about to do it again, but bigger, more chaotic, more unpredictable. He was reportedly setting up a scenario where the match itself would be just the beginning of a storyline that would carry SmackDown through WrestleMania season. Imagine the possibilities: shocking returns, devastating betrayals, the crowning of new champions, the destruction of old alliances. This wasn't just about winning a match. This was about reshaping the entire brand. The talent involved were excited. Multiple wrestlers have mentioned in interviews how refreshing it is to work with someone who thinks long-term, who gives their character depth and purpose. Heyman doesn't just tell you what to do, he makes you understand why your character would make that choice. Now, here's where everything falls apart. Nick Aldis, SmackDown's general manager, decided he knew better. And look, I respect Aldis as a wrestler. The man had an incredible career, national treasure, multiple world championships, represented the NWA with pride. But being a great wrestler doesn't automatically make you a great authority figure or strategist. According to backstage reports, Aldis pulled rank and started making last-minute changes to the wargame structure, changes that directly contradicted Heyman's vision. We're talking about team compositions being altered, stipulations being modified, and strategic advantages being eliminated. Why would he do this? Here's where it gets interesting and, frankly, infuriating. Some insiders suggest Aldis felt that Heyman's plan was too complicated for the audience to follow. Too complicated? Are you kidding me? Wrestling fans are some of the most dedicated, detail-oriented, conspiracy theory-loving audiences in all of entertainment. We live for complex storytelling. We thrive on hidden details and long-term booking. That's literally why we fell in love with the Bloodline saga in the first place. But there's another theory that makes this even worse. There are whispers that Aldis wanted to establish his own authority as SmackDown GM by not letting Heyman have too much creative control. It was about ego, about making sure everyone knew that he was in charge, not the wise man. Think about how petty that is. You have one of the greatest minds in wrestling history handing you a gift, a storyline that could define your tenure as general manager, and you reject it because you need to flex your authority? The changes Aldis implemented weren't just minor tweaks. He fundamentally altered the psychology of the match. Heyman had apparently structured the team entries in a specific order that would tell a story throughout the match. Each entrant was supposed to represent a chapter in a larger narrative. But Aldis shuffled everything around based on, and I quote from one source, "What would look cooler?" What would look cooler? We're talking about storytelling here, not a random highlight reel. Heyman's strategy also allegedly included specific weapons and cage modifications that would factor into the story being told. But Aldis, wanting a more traditional WarGames experience, stripped away these elements. He wanted WarGames to look like what it was in the 1980s, not understanding that wrestling has evolved and audiences expect more than just people hitting each other with chairs. Now here's what makes this situation tragic. When Heyman's vision was compromised, several talents who were excited to be part of this elaborate story suddenly found their roles diminished. Characters that were supposed to have breakthrough moments instead got generic spots. Rivalries that were supposed to explode with new intensity fizzled out into typical WWE booking. And the fans? We got a decent WarGames match. It was fine, it was entertaining, but it wasn't legendary. It wasn't the kind of match people would be analyzing and discussing for years. It was just another match when it could have been so much more. Multiple wrestlers have mentioned in recent interviews that they felt something was missing from the final WarGames product. They can't say it directly because of company politics, but if you read between the lines, they're disappointed. They know what it could have been versus what it actually became. There's also been noticeable tension between Heyman and Aldis on camera lately. Watch their recent interactions closely. The body language, the subtle verbal jabs, the way Heyman phrases certain responses when Aldis makes announcements. It's all there if you're paying attention. This isn't just storyline tension. This feels personal. And here's the kicker that makes this even more frustrating. Apparently, Triple H, who oversees all WWE creative, was supportive of Heyman's vision. He understood what Heyman was building and was excited to see it play out. But because of WWE's corporate structure, the general manager has autonomy over certain match decisions, which gave Aldis the power to override Heyman's plans. So we have a situation where the person at the top supported the creative vision, the talents supported the creative vision, the fans would have loved the creative vision, but one person's ego got in the way and ruined everything. Think about the opportunity cost here. WarGames is one of WWE's biggest premium events. It's the perfect platform to launch new storylines, create memorable moments, and give fans something they'll never forget. Instead, we got a safe, predictable version that didn't take any risks or push any boundaries. This situation reveals a massive problem with how WWE sometimes operates. You have these legendary minds like Heyman who understand what makes wrestling special, what creates those iconic moments we remember forever. But then you have people in authority positions who are more concerned with maintaining control than creating the best possible product. And look, I'm not saying every Heyman idea is perfect. The man has had misses throughout his career. But when you have someone with his track record passionate about a creative direction, maybe you listen instead of immediately pulling rank. What's even more concerning is what this means for future storylines. If creative minds like Heyman know their ideas can be destroyed at any moment by an authority figure who's more concerned with ego than storytelling, why would they bother putting in that extra effort? Why would they craft these intricate long-term narratives when someone can just dismantle them on a whim? This is how you get generic booking. This is how you get safe, predictable storylines that don't take risks. This is how you lose the magic that makes wrestling special. And the fans? We're the ones who suffer. We're the ones who invest our time, our money, our emotions into these stories. We deserve to see the best possible version of these events, not watered-down compromises because someone's ego got bruised. Here's what needs to happen moving forward. First, WWE needs to have a serious conversation about creative autonomy and decision-making. If you hire legendary minds like Paul Heyman, trust their vision. Don't hire them just to ignore their expertise. Second, Nick Aldis needs to understand that being a general manager isn't about exerting control. It's about facilitating greatness. The best authority figures in wrestling history, from William Regal to Teddy Long to even Mick Foley, understood that their job was to elevate the talent and stories, not overshadow them. And finally, we as fans need to demand better. We need to let WWE know that we want bold storytelling. We want complex narratives. We want the kind of wrestling that makes us feel something beyond just watching cool moves. The War Games match that could have been is gone.
We can't get that back, but we can make sure this doesn't happen again. We can make sure that creative genius isn't wasted because of backstage politics and ego. So here's what I need from you, the WrestleScope family. If you're as frustrated as I am about the situation, smash that like button right now. Let's get this video trending so WWE sees that fans are paying attention to these backstage decisions. Drop a comment below telling me your thoughts. Do you think Nick Aldis was right to change Heyman's plans? Or do you think he destroyed what could have been the greatest War Games match ever? And more importantly, what do you think needs to change backstage to prevent this from happening again? And if you're not already subscribed to WrestleScope, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications, because we're the only channel giving you the real inside story on what's happening in WWE. We don't just report the matches. We analyze the politics, the decisions, and the missed opportunities that shape the wrestling we see every week. Share this video with every wrestling fan you know. Post it on Twitter, Facebook, Reddit, wherever wrestling fans gather. Let's start a conversation about creative control and what it means for the future of WWE storytelling. Because at the end of the day, we all want the same thing, the absolute best wrestling possible. And right now, we're not getting it because backstage politics are getting in the way of greatness. This is WrestleScope, and we'll always tell you the truth, even when it's uncomfortable. I'll see you in the next video. Stay scoped in, and never stop demanding excellence from the wrestling you love.